Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be keeping a very close eye on Palantir Technologies trading over the next week, as we could experience a heightened volatility type of atmosphere, considering PLTR is near its 52-week year-to-date high resistance point of about $20. The last time that this was tested was right before Q2 earnings were released, and with PLTR sitting here right now, if this resistance is broken, we could see a breakout into the higher price targets. However, on the flip side, the bears could possibly take over. Right before Q3 earnings were released, we saw a major gap that was created and that has not been filled yet. Palantir has an exciting time ahead of itself. We're going to be talking about it and, of course, pinpointing and looking into its valuation, comparing it to some of the other tech stocks, and is that a criticism that's really justified for this stock? Now, of course, before we get too far, I'm not a financial advisor. Take everything I say with a grain of salt and do your own research before making an investment decision. Now, if we quickly pop it up right here on PLTR, you can see after Friday, trading session was good. We have lots of buying confidence and volume coming in here at nearly 100 million. Palantir was testing this $19 level of resistance throughout the week, experienced a breakout as this large greenwood candle bar here was printed, and we see this going up here, testing possibly the 20s in the near-term future. What we talked about was the gap that was created right before and after those Q3 earnings were released. Palantir goes here from this $14 level of support and pops up here to the 17s. If there's any changes in the macroeconomic environment, any news about PLTR, or if profit taking starts to overcome the amount of buying pressure that is coming into PLTR, we could possibly see some previous levels of support. And this is where it can be important to zoom out for more of a volatile and speculative asset like PLTR that is continuing to mature in its space. And here is that 2024 resistance point that we have seen. Palantir could likely test that if we see another influx and rally coming into the stock market, considering this next week in November here, and if this November rally continues right before the holidays. However, support levels to look for Palantir. If you're sitting on the sidelines, if it's on your watch list, looking to either dollar cost average if you have entered it at a higher position in terms of price targets. We see support zones for $13 and consolidations between that 13 and that 16, with lots of support here kind of in the mid 15s. So Palantir does like to trade here between the 13 and the 16, and considering Morningstar's fair value is at $13. Now, if we quickly look right here at some of the analysts and what they are predicting are high price targets for 25 and low of 9, with the majority of analysts rating PLTR as a whole. However, let's talk about what Palantir has in terms of momentum behind it, leading not just into the end of the year here, but starting 2024. As Palantir has recently came out with their AIP platform, we have seen earnings that have been dynamite records and that have also surpassed the expectations of these Wall Street analysts by seeing this revenue increase of 16.8% year over year. We saw them beat earnings per share. Everybody knows how they smashed earnings. What's important, and I think what we did see about Palantir, is the AIP platform is proving to be very successful. And we've seen this with their AIP platform, especially through their AIP bootcamp, which allows these possible clients to trial AIP through Palantir for free, and they claim that they can get a zero to a use case within 5 days. Now, this is a great business tactic, and what we are seeing is that this has attracted almost 300 major clients who are now using it. So AIP has been real successful, and we've also seen this with customer growth, not just in terms of a quarterly perspective, but also year over year. So as customers are bringing more revenue to the table, they're also bringing diversification. And with that being said, diversification is important, considering that the majority of the revenue for Palantir was made up from government contracts. And what the CEO has even stated is that some of these revenue in these government contracts can be lumpy. And if any of these government contracts decided to pull out, that could make large fluctuations to Palantir's revenue, which could really change its valuation. So diversifying across multiple different industries is an important and a bullish catalyst for Palantir in terms of maturity, and also just diversifying its clientele. And with that, the biggest question for Palantir is the valuation dilemma. And I wanted to talk about that here and be a focus of this video, because even with this author here on Seeking Alpha that posted this article, gave a fair value of $16 per share, which is already below the current market price. That's sitting right now at 19. However, what's really important to understand here with Palantir, we talk about its fair value, we talk about its valuation, which is one of the biggest criticisms for the stock. Even I criticize it as being overvalued, is that Palantir has really never truly traded at its fair value. And this doesn't stop the shares from appreciating further as the market, backed by its growth, and we have the AI boom that has really exploded these stocks in 2023. Not just talking about Palantir, you can see even a lot of these other large blue chip stocks. We're talking about Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon. Some of the top chip stocks right here have increased their valuations and their actual market price targets tremendously. Quickly looking here at Nvidia, they're up 228% in the year. Everybody looking at that, and they are trading at a nosebleed-inducing 116 times trail earnings and 36 times sales these days. So if we compare that to Palantir, this shows you that a lot of these AI stocks, even being compared to some of the top blue chip stocks, are trading far past its valuations. And will it ever get to its fair value? I mean, of course, that is entirely possible. But right now, with the momentum and the emotion and the confidence that a lot of these investors have behind AI, it seems that this isn't the case. And what we're seeing, according here to Seeking Alpha's quant system, is that Palantir has a D- for valuation. And there's probably many likewise stocks that do have low grades and lower price targets in terms of the fair value price. But on all the other metrics for Palantir, it scores a B+ and higher. The company valuation is really the only concern for Palantir. And considering there's only one concern for a company that's publicly traded on the stock market, is pretty bullish. The only warning that does come with that is heightened speculation and also volatility if we do see a correction or a bearish potential that could start to take over. But let's not forget that Palantir has an amazing balance sheet. We see this with a free cash flow. They got over $3 billion on hand, nearly no debt. And what they have in terms of customers growing, revenue increasing, earnings per share is looking great, is that a lot of confidence is coming into the stock. And the bottom line here is that the growth opportunities behind Palantir are outweighing the valuation and other concerns. Simply, investors don't really seem to care. And we're seeing this with a lot of other AI stocks, which this should help Palantir's shares retain their momentum. And talking about that, people are continuing to even buy Palantir at these 52-week near high valuations. Even at the $19, look at the buying pressure that was coming in at Palantir just in the last trading session. And if the bulls can push Palantir past the $20 level of resistance, I think is where we could see some possibly new 52-week highs before the end of the year. And Palantir is going to have a lot of bullish momentum coming into it for 2024. That's where my prediction sits right now. We could see a little bit of a correction. I think everybody is sitting on the sidelines waiting for that correction. And everybody's sitting there, rubbing their hands together, getting their mouth wet, getting their fingers wet, sweating at the stock, waiting for it to come down. The question is, will it come down? And are we too late for Palantir? I don't think nobody's too late for Palantir personally, because we've seen the projections going over the next decade, even by 2030, with the amount of revenue and with the AI play. But that is one thing. With more regulations, more political lines coming into artificial intelligence, we could see a large impact that could have not just on Palantir, but the AI industry, which could affect a lot of these stocks. But that's something that you just take the risk of with more of a speculative type like stock with Palantir that is starting to approach more of that maturity level, especially with the criteria being met for the S&P 500 inclusion. That's all about half of you guys. What do you think? Do you think the valuation really does make a difference here for Palantir? Where do you see it here going in the future into 2024? Start the discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.